Like, subscribe, follow. Let's go. Talk nerdy to me.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
Left, feet left.
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah!
What the fuck are you talking about?
What's up, fam? Lazy Booking coming at you live here Wednesday night, special Wednesday night edition, live here on A2DRadio.com. Myself, Mr. Jeff Werner, joining me over here. No Maddie Sensuti tonight because Wednesday nights aren't convenient for him, and this is the second time, sorry, Maddie, that we had to do a Wednesday night. But Maddie will be back soon, and myself and Jeff, we have a lot to talk about. First thing we got to talk about, though, is our wonderful sponsors. A lot of issues out there right now. Major issue in this country when it comes to addiction issues, mental health. We here at A2D Radio, we're very happy to support the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. So for yourself or anybody that you know, if you're looking for outlets to find out what kind of options you have out there to find the help you could possibly need, please dial that phone number on the screen, 856-651-8117. Again, Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox, 856-651-8117. Take care of yourselves and take care of all the people that you love closest to you. Also, are you looking to buy or sell your home? Looking for a change in career or brokerage? Contact Alan Foy of eXp Realty, LLC. You can dial him at 302-682-8820, or you can visit him at alan.foy@exprealty.com. Our doctor, Dr. Paul Vidal, the best in the business. You can find him in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey at Specialized Physical Therapy, and you can find him on the web at specializedphysicaltherapy.com. No appointment necessary. So make sure you guys are going on, getting yourselves in that peak physical condition, and check out Dr. Paul Vidal. And obviously, our topic of conversation tonight, we're going to cover a lot of topics. But it's brought to you by bodycheckwellness.com. Use that promo code A2D for 20% off. All natural items there. And if whatever you're into, whatever you have, gummies, all that stuff. I hear the Focus and Clarity is really good for a lot of the stuff that they offer. And by the way, when former Philadelphia Flyer Riley Cote joins the Hockey Happy Hour, which you can catch here on Thursday nights, you get 40% off a special package that they sell there, guys. So make sure you guys are checking them out. bodycheckwellness.com. That topic of conversation, guys, we are running into now. This Sunday, we have WrestleMania Backlash. I hate the name, by the way.
Just couldn't go with Backlash. They had to add WrestleMania to it.
WrestleMania Backlash coming at you live this Sunday from the Thunderdome. And with that, our topic of conversation, our poll. No titles will change hands at WrestleMania Backlash. Agree, disagree. So wherever you're at, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, wherever you're following us, watching us, please like, subscribe, follow, and share your comments here with us. And Jeff, it's WrestleMania Backlash. We're going to go through the card. We're going to talk about, I guess, some of the highlights and the build-ups that's happened going into this. And we're going to discuss the matches. But there's a lot of title matches on this card. Traditionally, Backlash is essentially just a rerun of what we've seen at WrestleMania, and not very often do we see titles change hands. Now, there are a couple of matches that have been switched up here in terms of the Universal title, in terms of there's an actual tag team title match on this card, so we're going to discuss those. But I'm going to ask you, do you agree or disagree that there will be no title changes on WrestleMania Backlash?
Going down this card, it's like you said, a lot of WrestleMania rematches, not too appealing, and it's just some of the matchups that were a little bit thrown together. I'm excited for some of them, and a lot of guys given the opportunity. I originally was going to agree with the poll, but just catching up because I haven't watched, trying to catch things up. I'm going to disagree with the poll. I feel that we always eventually see maybe one title change. We're not gonna. I don't think we're going to see the major ones. We're not going to see the Universal Championship change, in my opinion. We're not going to have the WWE Championship change, but you're probably going to see one of those lower cards change. There's still one match possibly to be announced that hasn't been announced yet. There's talk of Sheamus and what's his name? Humberto, or whatever his name is.
Humberto Carrillo.
Yeah, possibly having a match. So you could see maybe Sheamus being that transition champion for the U.S. title. But also Charlotte was thrown into the Raw's Women's Championship to make it a triple threat. So with her return recently, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe as much as I don't want Ripley's run to end right now, that maybe they transition a little bit to Flair and start doing a more build up with Flair and Ripley and Asuka and these three and maybe someone else to lead up to SummerSlam. Because look, we always know these middle tier low card pay-per-views in between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, it's basically filler. A lot of the time you don't see you'll see quality matches, but as far as the outcome, you don't see a lot of title changes. I feel they need to do something at least with one of their somewhat bigger championships leading up to SummerSlam, especially if they're going to go eventually. The talk is that their first big event is that they're going to have fans back is going to be SummerSlam.
Yeah. So I'm going to disagree to the poll as well. I definitely think there's a match, and we're going to discuss it, that to me just screams. And again, I know you said you haven't watched as closely.
Yeah.
But just going from the commentary and how much steam and hype they've put behind the idea of something happening for the first time, and they love first time things in WWE. There's one that's a glaring change to me, and I'm for it, by the way, if it happens.
Yeah.
But I don't see the women's title changing. I think we'll dive into that. Maybe we'll make that the first match we discuss. And also, I did see some comments already coming in. Stay with us too, because we're going to be talking AEW as well. I saw somebody say Miro was going to walk out with the strap tonight. If he doesn't walk out with the strap tonight, I'm just saying it now before we even get to it. If he doesn't walk out as TNT champion tonight, he's already killed. I mean, They threw Darby Allin down concrete steps last week. Okay, if the monster that he is, the best man, if Miro can't walk out tonight as TNT champion, you've already killed his character, in my opinion. There's no credibility behind it. Doesn't matter what schmaz you do, this and that. It's a guy that yet another company won't get behind, and I love him. I think he's so underutilized previously, but we're seeing the same thing repeat now. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But let's go through the card. Let's pull up WrestleMania Backlash, and let's go through the card.
Okay. Now, this is from Bleacher Reports. Now, if there has been this was updated, I think, yesterday. So
there's only 5 matches announced so far.
I was about to say, if there was any matches added that I did not see, I apologize. But, of course, I'll go towards the lower tier matches and lead up to the, what's it called? So you have the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. You have Dolph Ziggler, Bobby Roode versus Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah, so this is where I see the title change happening.
Yeah.
I just think, there's not a whole lot of. I like the Dirty Dogs or whatever it is. I've really enjoyed how that tag team dynamic has worked. It's given Ziggler a meaningful, somewhat of a meaningful program, as much as the tag team titles can be in WWE. But they've actually worked really well as a tag team, where you have that technician and then you have that guy who's more of the flamboyant, athletic type of a worker who can sell the hell out of anything. I've really enjoyed them as a tag team over the last couple of years. That said, the chance to have the first father-son tag team champions, it just screams irresistible for Vince McMahon. And I don't hate it. Some people will say, well, it's forced with Dominic and this and that. I think that kid's a hell of a worker. I mean, I actually thought he had some momentum until they put him in a program with Seth Rollins for 7 or 8 months that absolutely, I think, crushed a lot of his momentum. But I like the dynamic of that, and I think that it is something meaningful. And listen, for everything that Ray has given to the industry, everything Ray has given to WWE, this is an opportunity, because I do think that would be a meaningful thing for him, to give him a chance to have a moment with his son.
Yep.
So this is where I see the title change happening. to me, it's as guaranteed as you could possibly get. I have Mysterio and Mysterio. I have the Mysterios.
Yeah, I agree. Look, to all your points, it would be awesome to see a father-son win the tag team titles, and just like Maddie from Ultimate Wrestling Fanatic says, he hopes that he feels they're going to hold on to the titles a long time. I hope the same case. Mysterio has said that he's not towards the end of his career, but he ultimately he's more focused on working with his son and more building his career. And he always said he wanted that match against his son. So typically, you know how WWE does it. They put a tag team together. They win the tag team titles. They'll hold them for a little bit. And then something happens where they break up or there's betrayal or something along those lines. So I definitely see the Mysterios winning those tag titles and ultimately leading to some type of storyline and campaign where you have Mysterio versus Mysterio down the line. I don't think it's early as SummerSlam, but maybe something leading into end of this year, beginning of next year, during maybe Royal Rumble, WrestleMania season.
See, I think the tag team titles is something that you don't need to hold on to for a long time, and it's just the way that the company has positioned that championship, right?
I agree.
So I wouldn't be shocked if we get that as early as SummerSlam. It's also, I mean, am I wrong? Isn't SummerSlam where we saw the ladder match with Ray and
Eddie for the custody of Dominic?
So it's kind of, 16 years later.
Yeah.
Was it 16 years later? Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me. And I think that would be a really cool moment with enough of a title reign, right? Like we got May, June, July, August. I think that's enough time, a 3-month run for the tag titles. That's actually a pretty damn long run.
Yeah. I'm not saying they have the tag titles through next year, but I agree. A couple months span for them to have the titles, I think, would be sufficient to them, to their tag team, and building that storyline that eventually breaks them up and has that match of father versus son.
To your point, I would be shocked if they carry the tag titles past Survivor Series.
Yeah.
So I could see it going that long. I don't see it going all the way to Rumble. Unless maybe they do, and maybe that's where they have it, and we get Mysterio versus Mysterio at WrestleMania. Wouldn't shock me if they hold it off for that long. But to me, I think that we'll get it either at SummerSlam or they'll prolong that to WrestleMania.
Exactly.
Matt's saying I think the turn is going to wait until Mania next year. It needs a longer build. Yeah, and that's a WrestleMania worthy match. So, I could see that absolutely.
Okay. Match 2, triple threat match for the Raw's women's title: Charlotte, Rhea Ripley, and Asuka.
So for me, I love Asuka so much, and I don't get it. They can't get it right with her. I don't see Asuka coming out of this. I don't see Charlotte. I think that's going to be the target for Alexa. Let's not forget, right? We have this character in Alexa, right? And, she was kind of the mean girl for a while. And when you see kind of what Charlotte ended up kind of being, right? Now she's like this person who was like, when she was a kid, I think she said, what did she say? She was like a loner or something, and all she had was her doll or something like that. I forget the doll's name at this point already.
Lily.
What is it? Lillian, right?
Lily doll.
Yeah. Lily doll, right. So I could see it being one of those, like, you're the type of girl who, when I was a kid, bullied me and thought you were better than me and you had everything handed to you type of deals. Mm-hmm. Kind of like you see Bray, right? So Bray kind of goes back into the past and he has these, like, demons that he resurrects from. That's the one good thing about that character that we have seen consistently, is that they find ways to intertwine storylines from even 5 years ago, which, I mean, that I do give them credit for, because a lot of things are kind of out of sight, out of mind after a while with WWE. But I could see that being where her focus goes. It just to me, it's another one of those things that it just makes sense for me. And I think that Alexa will be the one to call Charlotte. Rhea will pin Asuka. Yeah. Rhea walks out women's champion.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Asuka's more the scapegoat in this match, because WWE, they don't want to have Charlotte take the fall and not be buried, but basically they bring her back, build her up, put her in a title match for her just to lose or take the pin, especially if they possibly might be building some type of campaign or storyline, maybe with Ripley and Charlotte further. All I'm saying is don't count Charlotte out. Just because how WWE, they've, especially right now, they somewhat don't have that face of the women's division. Yeah, you have Alexa, Sasha, somewhat building her brand, but Charlotte's a flair. Flares are known in this wrestling industry, and WWE, they always talk about pushing her, the surpass or tie or whatever of her father's reign as championships. So this might not be the exact moment, but I feel eventually soon with her return that they definitely are going to put the strap back on her. I hope for Ripley's case they don't do it that soon, just because I feel Ripley's deserving, and she's been the crowd and the fans are behind her after winning the title. But I'm going to go Ripley. I feel Ripley's going to retain, but like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if Charlotte somehow comes up with the victory or something happens where she gets the championship.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that they're the two most logical. It's a lock that Asuka's not going to walk out. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back and some of the comments that we just had. First of all, welcome to the chat, Tony Khan. Appreciate you taking some time out before Dynamite tonight to show us some love. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. John Castigliano said Rhea Ripley has the best. Is there a better entrance than Rhea Ripley in WWE? Specified WWE. Chrome, did it sound good live at WrestleMania? So I'll answer the second part, and then we'll answer that first question. I'll be curious to see what you say. In terms of the second part, it was pretty awesome live. However, there was an issue at the beginning of it where the mic didn't work. It cut out. So, but pretty awesome. In terms of the women, I can't think of one that's much better. I do like Io Shirai.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Io Shirai's entrance. I still like Asuka's. When Asuka's music hits, I get pumped.
Yeah.
She has some of the best entrance music in all of wrestling.
Yeah, I'll say I agree. Kind of, it's not sad, but it's pretty cool that I'll say the women's division that has somewhat better theme songs and some better entrances than some of the men on the cards do or on the roster. But yeah, of course, if we're talking
Charlotte too.
Yeah, I was saying Charlotte, whenever she has her big WrestleMania entrances and some of the other bigger pay-per-views, I feel she has some of the better ones, especially at 35. Granted, it was filmed ahead of time, but the whole helicopter basically mocking her, not mocking, but imitating her father's entrance from one of his WrestleMania entrances was pretty cool. So to see that somewhat live and the fireworks and all that, usually she gets some of the bigger pops when it comes to the pyro for entrances for the bigger pay-per-views. Yeah,
Matt likes, a lot of the women,
yeah,
Sasha Banks has, for me personally, I love Bianca Belair's music. Like, I walk around my house singing that song all the time. I don't know why. And sometimes I'm like, da, 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 da. I don't know.
It's a good workout song. I would say it's surprisingly when I'm at the gym or working out, a lot of the WWE theme songs, like even Becky's, like
so good.
Even though there's no like real words to it, just that hearing that sound and hearing that theme, just gets you a little bit pumped up. That the Irish theme,
Edge Metalingus, man, that stuff gets me pumped as well. Yeah. But even so, when you talk about, if you're talking about all of WWE, right? And let's just not just exclude it to women.
Yeah,
we mentioned one name there. Edge is one. I can tell you, whether you like the character or not, the entrance of the Fiend live is special. It is an awesome, awesome experience. And Randy Orton, Randy Orton, it's just so classic. It's so methodical, and that song is so good. Yeah. It's so damn good. To me, he's got one of the best entrances in ever. Phenomenal. And we all know what the best entrance in wrestling is. Chris,
Take. Oh, then Taker. But
he's retired now. He's not in there anymore.
I'm sure he's still gonna make an appearance every now and then. He just recently retired, but yeah, Orton. The fact that for a current full-time guy, for him to have his music as long as he has, especially when WWE are typically an organization that depending on heel and face turns and all that, they'll change your music around. Like Nakamura, his original music when he was face, I loved it. Now when they added the whole band, Japanese Asian band.
Well, they did go back to it now.
Well, yeah,
he is a face. But
that's what I'm saying. When he went from face to heel,
that was
and
special.
Back to face. But when he was heel, I'll say I for some reason just the added lyrics of that song or to the music just ruined it for me.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear Mr. Softy in the background.
Yeah, go get yourself an ice cream. Choco Tacos, baby.
I'm thinking about getting a Choco Taco. Believe me. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really good ones, though. I mean, that's one thing that they do. But everybody knows the best entrance in pro wrestling is Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Hands down, no questions asked. Next matchup.
Next match is the SmackDown Women's Championship, Bianca Belair versus Bayley.
Yeah, I mean, pretty clear here that Bianca's gonna go over in this. I love Bayley. I love her character now. And again, this is such a staunch difference from anything you would have heard from me for the first 2.5 years of this program. But I just, to me, Bayley, during the pandemic, and especially in the very beginning, when there was no Thunderdome, and it was literally you heard everything, she became a star to me. Her ad-libs, her stuff with Michael Cole that she still runs with, and I love it. It's just so good. She's such a great contrast to any other face superstar you're trying to build. And I think she makes them all look like $1 million, both in the ring and with the promo work, with the storyline builds. But it's Bianca's time.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bayley, and I'm glad that WWE somewhat changed her persona and changed her character a bit, because for the longest time through most of her WWE career, no one she was a fan favorite, especially with the kids and whoever her big fan from NXT was and all that. That's what she was known for, but no one ever really considered her one of the faces of the WWE women's division, but just because they somewhat held her back with that persona, the hugger persona, and that character role. And I'm glad that over the years, once they put the belt on her and turned her heel, and you somewhat got to see more, and she got to see a little bit more credit from the company and appreciation for her work inside and outside the ring. And because she is one of the better workers, I agree with you. She makes whoever she works in there look like $1 million. And I feel that's why they put Bianca for one of her first title defenses on a pay-per-view is gonna against Bayley's, because Bayley is one of those workhorses that is gonna make Bianca look great. So I do agree, Bianca. She's probably holding on to the title for quite some time, for the time being. But I still think this is gonna be one of the better matches on the card.
Yeah, and I don't think it's by accident either, Jeff. That she takes the title from Sasha, and then you come right back around. And who was the champion before Sasha for over 300 for basically over a calendar year? Bayley. It was Bayley.
Yep.
So you talk about strapping the rocket ship to the back of somebody and shooting them off. That's the best way you could possibly do it. So John asks the reverse question from earlier. He asks, who has the most lackluster entrance theme song? Ooh.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, it's a tough question because there's a lot of pretty good ones. Like I really like Roman's new song. I mean, that's been a kind of a little hotbed topic with some people. I enjoy it a lot. I think it fits the character. I'm trying to think. I might have to circle back on you on that one, John.
Yeah, because that's the one thing that WWE does well, especially with their relationship. Now they're no longer, but with Johnson, one of the guys that comes up with a lot of these theme songs is he's done a great job over the years of coming up with music that fits a wrestler's what's the word, like their character and
persona.
Their persona. So I can't think of one like off the top of my head. At least that I've seen live. I'm sure there's probably there's some songs I prefer less than others. Like it got annoying after a while. The Usos before they became the jail guys. Basically when they were the Samoans, their entrance kind of annoyed me, but it wasn't anything like bad. It was just I wasn't a big fan of the song, but they at least put on a little bit of a show, a little bit of an act, leading as their entrance. So it's not like they played music and just walked out. Yeah, I'm going to have to think about that one.
Oh, I mean, there's some that don't. I mean, I don't really like Big E's entrance song.
Yeah.
Doesn't really do anything for me. I almost wish they would go back to his 3 Ain't Enough, I Need 5 music. I loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't hate Braun's music, Matt. I think that there needs to be a refresh to the character, though. And I know that it feels like they didn't do it that long ago, but I'm not like most girls. I disagree. That's a good song. Yeah, we might have to circle back, but just off the top of my head, Big E would probably be the first name that comes to mind.
Yeah.
But if I think of any more, I'll just blurt it out as we go along, John. Moving on, next match. Oh, Bespy says, do you like the whole song for Nia? Yes, Frank. We love the whole song for Nia.
Next match, Universal Championship, Cesaro versus Roman.
I would love to see Cesaro come out on top here. No chance in hell. Roman is going to be the champion until we get that. I don't care if it takes 2 years. Roman will be the champion until we get that Rock Roman match.
I agree. Yeah, I'm happy for Cesaro that he's somewhat getting into like a main event title picture, because throughout his career, he really hasn't had that opportunity. Yeah, they had him win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal the one year, and you thought that was going to be the start of his push, which it really didn't. It basically faltered out. He went back to the mid-card. He won a couple of mid-card championships. I think a tag team title in there, but look, Cesaro's a great talent, but he's not the face of the company. And that's one thing that sucks about these mid-tier after WrestleMania pay-per-views is that typically, like the last few years, we've seen a lot of the part-timers like Edge, like Lesnar, go in there, either win or lose a title, and then we don't see them till about SummerSlam time. So right now they're trying to find those quality matches and storylines to try and get these guys not credible, but basically give him an opportunity. Basically, this match reminds me of that time that Mark Henry was thrown to the title picture before Money in the Bank against John Cena. That they're going to put on a decent match, but the angle in this match is definitely going to be how is what's his name, the Uso that returned. How I feel he's going to play Jimmy. He's going to play some type of role in this match, and it's going to be interesting to see if he accepts Roman as head of the table and he's going to join sides with his brother, or is there going to be some type of Uso turning on the on Reigns and Heyman and the other Uso?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a no-doubter, but I agree with you. This could be another one of those programs that goes a couple of months, something similar to
I hope not.
The Kevin Owens program. I mean, if you get 2 pay-per-views, I'm okay with that. I don't need 3. I don't need 4. That's to where it was overkill. Yeah. Going back a couple of comments, and I'll get to Matt's in a minute. Going back a couple of comments, Tori asked about the Blue Lagoon. Summertime, the Blue Lagoon gets retired for the outside. It's too nice to be inside of the Blue Lagoon. Especially when it's like 70 degrees out. Yeah, I mean, it's perfect right now. It was even when I did the first show, I hear Greg said, oh, we have screened-in porch chrome out here. John had posted another comment in there, Frank, if you can pop that up. He says, awesome shirt. Looks like you're enjoying sunny days. Yes, I am, sir. True or false? Yes, I have watched it, and it is not good. It's something you could do to torture yourself, that's for sure. But I have definitely watched it. My dog's about to bark.
We apologize for the inconvenience at this time. It's better than One Night in China. Never seen it.
Oh, I've seen them all. I'm not even going to act like I haven't. I've seen them all.
I haven't.
Even out of pure curiosity. But yes, thank you. This is I'm obviously a big HBK guy. It's my number one all timer, and this was a WWE shop shirt, I have to say, and this was it was a Heartbreak Hotel one. I mean, how could I not get that, right?
You're crazy, Matt. Cesaro is not winning that belt. As much as the WWE Universe wants Cesaro to win that title and ultimately be a champion, the fact that WWE is posting art or posting images of Cesaro with the belt on their social media pages obviously tells you that he is definitely not winning that title.
Yeah, this is the lock of the night. This is 1,000% the lock of the night. But hey, maybe it'll make it fun for you to watch if you really believe that could possibly happen. I feel like it's already a done deal and locked in.
Yeah.
But listen, he could still come out of this looking like $1 million.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm hoping for.
I don't feel he's going to get squashed. I don't feel they're going to put Roman out there and just basically destroy him. But Cesaro's going to get his moves in. He's going to have his moments. He's going to be able to put on a match that he normally can do. But, well, Reigns is the face of this company. And like you said, they're either building it up for another, hopefully the Reigns Rock match, hopefully soon at one of the Manias, or maybe another Reigns Lesnar. They're building up for some decent match. They're not going to have the face of the company, the guy that they have built up to be this unstoppable force, to lose to freaking Cesaro. No offense to Cesaro, but he's not on the caliber or the level of these guys.
No, well, I mean, especially right now with where Roman Reigns is at.
Yeah.
Big Dad, I saw he chimed in. He agreed to the poll.
He doesn't even know who the hell these dudes are.
He doesn't need to answer. And I'll tell you what, most of the time, he may not know what he's answering, but he actually gets the poll questions right a lot of the time.
Oh, he agrees to the poll. Okay.
Yeah, to the poll.
I thought you were saying Cesaro winning or something.
No, he was agreeing to the poll.
Okay. That's understandable.
Matt's comment previously was, how about the loser makes the other a mixed CD? Interesting bet. Maybe so. How about a playlist and I'll just send it to you? Do you have Apple? Do you have an iPhone? I mean, I can't go back that far. I'm not that guy. I'm never going to be that guy. We know who that guy is. Quantity over quality, or quality over quantity. John's comment previously. What was that last comment? Makes me feel shame when Tammy was even in her prime. John, it makes you look at people differently. There's some that I can look at and not look at their past differently, and there's some that definitely, what do we say in wrestling? Does it affect the legacy? Yeah, that affected the legacy big time. Pete Evans chiming in, yo fam, what's up, Pete? Love you, brother. And Maddie had said Jimmy, he agrees to the poll. Wow. I'm surprised all the people agreeing to the poll. Matt says Jimmy's going to cost him the match, in my opinion. I don't think so. I think that
he's not going to. Yeah, he's not going to cost him the match. He's somehow going to get involved and try to screw Reigns the match, but
we're going to get
successful.
We're going to get where, see, because Jimmy showed that his weakness is his brother. And if his brother continues to be loyal to Roman, he may not. However, he will always pick up for his brother. So Jay may interfere. Cesaro ends up going after him, and Jimmy picks up for him.
Yeah.
I do believe to carry this storyline on, to carry on the family, the head of the table. Now we have to beat another challenger in the family. I think we're going to get the 2.0 version of Uso versus Roman, and we're going to get a program with Jimmy. And now we're going to start putting Jimmy on a singles path. And that's a way that they're going to be able to buy time during this period you're talking about, Jeff, right? The period in between. The one obvious difference, although last year it really wasn't too much of a difference maker. The one difference was the Money in the Bank, the pay-per-view, typically is where something big does happen. Now, you could say it did last year because Asuka ended up being the women's champion because of what happened with Becky Lynch, obviously getting pregnant. However, they wasted the men's last year on a hot shot because everybody was, Otis this and Otis that and whatever. He was the feel-good story. And then they basically just wasted it.
Yep. Vince, for whoever's original decision was, Vince finally realized this was a bad idea. We need to move on and somehow get this freaking contract off of him, which they eventually did.
Yeah. Yeah, they hot-shotted it to Miz, who then hot-shotted it to Bobby. Give Miz another little notch on his championship title reign belt.
Yep.
But yeah, no, this to me is there's no doubt. There's too much, and there's too many opportunities to continue to build this program. So, like, we haven't even seen Rikishi get involved in here yet, and I believe that we're going to see him show up. It may not be like like necessarily a big time physical in ring thing. I'm not saying that. Could he come in and take a bump for Roman though, when speaking up for like his sons, or could he come in and do what we saw Alpha and C could do? You know, in terms of kind of anointing Roman the guy, right? There's a checkered history with the Usos and their dad, right? That everybody knows if you've watched Total Divas. We're watchers here.
Yep.
You could put that and portray that in front of the camera if you really wanted to. Matt says 2 guys got murdered last year. Something big did happen. That's right. You're right. I forgot. Alistair got killed. And who was the other one? Was it Ray?
Is that the one where you got his eye taken out or something?
No. That was two people got thrown over the side.
I can't remember.
You don't remember getting thrown over the side of the building? Off the roof?
I don't remember it.
Really?
Look, like I said, WWE programming these days, everything blends together. Unless it was an extremely memorable moment where I love that match, after a month or so, I lose track.
Oh, I did love the Money in the Bank match. I actually was a fan of the cinematic presentation of it last year. He says, who could take Otis seriously? He's a heavy version of Scotty Too High. True. I liked the way they presented that match last year. I just think they came out with the wrong winner.
Yeah.
And again, if you guys are just joining us, the poll question or the topic of conversation, no titles will change hands at WrestleMania Backlash. Agree, disagree. So if you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, wherever you're at, make sure you're liking, subscribing, following, pound that like button. For all you guys out there, spread it out, share the video, let your friends see it, all your wrestling nerds. Let them come over and talk nerdy with us. Let's go.
Yeah, it was Ray. And like Matt says, the dude flew off the side and then came back and the next week like nothing happened. Just like how his eye magically returned too.
I mean, and when they showed his eye, that when it was like out, it looked like a Pokeball, like a Pokeball. I mean, I'm not a Pokemon fan, but
Pokemon, get it right. It's not man, Mon.
Whatever. I mean, whatever. Pikachu. I know who Pikachu is. But that's right. There it is. Dude, Ray flew off the side and then came back. And I mean, listen, let's not forget they were all about last year. This whole let's just murder people and bring them back the next week. I mean, do we forget that was it Baron Corbin threw Elias to his death?
Yep.
Off of a ledge. I mean, this was like the thing, the cool thing to do, guys. I think that was the card, right? Was that the whole card, or did I miss
there's one more match. The triple threat match for the WWE Championship with Strowman, Lashley, and McIntyre.
Oh, of course. This is where I have a problem. Big problem. I love Lashley. I'm very, very excited, and I'm hoping that they're going to let him continue to run with the title. I'm hoping maybe we get Lashley and Brock at SummerSlam. It's going to depend on Canada, obviously, because Canada's still on lockdown. But, man, this is where the issue comes in that we talk about, where it's overexposure, it's oversaturation, it's shoved down your throats. We have this triple threat match, which, by the way, we already saw 2 of these guys go at each other for 2 or 3 weeks, building up to WrestleMania. Agree, Maddie. Going up to WrestleMania. Then we're going to put these guys on TV every single week against each other, fighting with each other. Jeff, what happened to the days of build the anticipation by not having them touch each other?
Yeah.
So that when the moment finally happens, and I know we've seen Bob, I know we've seen these guys at one point or another, but you haven't seen all 3 of them at the same time.
No.
What happened to building that anticipation for those 3 guys to have this epic clash? No, we're just giving it out every week and every week and every week and every week. And what the freak, man?
Well, that's WWE, dude. This is the same company that continues to have the rematches of the same matches the night after a freaking pay-per-view. So what the hell's the point of us watching the pay-per-view? You just have the same matches again the next night.
Yeah.
So I get it. These are three of their big monster, bigger superstars. So of course you're going to want physical violence, especially leading up to this huge out brawl championship match on their pay-per-view on normal TV, especially with no crowd. They don't want to lose any more ratings. So they have to have some type of physical and something to build up these matches and these pay-per-views. But I don't know. Like I said, this is the lull time in the season. This is the time where, I'll watch the events. I try to watch as much Raw, SmackDown as I can, depending on my busy schedule, or rewatch on TiVo. Thankfully, that's a thing. But like you said, how many times do we have to see this? How many times? And this is the same logic that WWE fans keep on saying about Roman and all these and some of these other matches. See why you continue to shove the same stuff down our throats. It's the same case here. Nothing against Lashley. I'm not saying he's a bad champion, but once again, creative needs to come up with something. And hopefully, now that Jason Jordan has a say in Raw and SmackDown, when it comes to building creative and being a behind-the-scenes producer, that maybe he can put in some of his voice in some of these matches and some of the pay-per-views and try to spark things up and make things a little bit enticing, a little bit better than the typical BS that we continue to see pay-per-view after pay-per-view.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I mean, I'm really optimistic. Hopefully that Jason Jordan will be a guy that makes a difference, a different voice, a different face in the room. He's in a prominent role now, and we talked about it before. And I hope that does end up making a big difference going forward after we kind of get this close the WrestleMania chapter finally and take WrestleMania off of the name of pay-per-views, other than actual WrestleMania. John's, yes, John, it's exactly the way to go. It's old school, but it's still very, very effective. John's previous question or comment that he put in, all right. Well, it said something about Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, and there we go. Yeah. Vince McMahon was going to die, quote, die before Chris Benoit double murder suicide ruined that program. Absolutely. I mean, listen, abandoning that program, though, at some point. I still wonder what the payoff would have been for that. It's something we'll probably we may never know that, but
I think the whole thing was somehow they're going to have either Triple H or Stephanie or someone to be the company. And I think from what I heard, he was going to give it to one of the McMahons, or one of the McMahons were going to take over one of his children. And then somehow they were going to do something where they were going to someone from an outside source, or basically almost not bought the company, but was going to fight for ownership or chairmanship or something along those lines from what I read. But yeah, it was bad timing for them to have Vince McMahon blow up in a freaking limousine. And then the weekend after that, Chris Benoit does what he did.
Yeah. To the second part of his comment, I have not listened to Jeff Jarrett's podcast, but I'm always open to suggestions. Is it one of those where he kind of just goes through and tells his version or his experiences of different events through pro wrestling?
He joined the Conrad Thompson group, so Bischoff, JR with the ad-free shows group. So yeah, it's gonna be a similar thing. Probably going over different topics, different pay-per-views, different characters, get his side or his perspective on things. So yeah, it's a similar thing to the JR podcast and Bischoff and all those guys.
Well, what's cool about that is, and I will say, I was never a Jarrett guy. I have actually now. I enjoy hearing him talk more now. I think he was a guy, in my opinion, who thought he was bigger than he actually was. I think he thought he was more of a main event player than he really was. But I feel like he's a guy who's kind of humbled himself over the years. I think what he did with TNA, and particularly in the early years, now in hindsight, was very innovative. It changed the game a lot. And I especially when I go back to the office in September, October, I'm going to be looking to start listening to a lot of podcasts And these are probably what are going to get me through the day. So I appreciate the suggestion. I will add it to my list, John, and I will check it out. I love the Angle one. The Angle one is very, very good. I mean, I haven't heard a Conrad one I don't like yet.
Yeah.
So
there's a couple episodes I'll skip every now and then.
Correct.
Also, I wasn't the big WCW guy, so I don't listen to a lot of the Tony Schiavone ones or the Arn or not Arn. There's another one that he has that's mainly a lot of old WCW content.
Bischoff.
Bischoff, I handle a little bit more. I listen to a little bit of his. I'll skip it, but I listen to more modern or probably like 97, 98 WCW ones. His stuff and all that. But yeah, Conrad does a tremendous job, and the fact that he's able to build this company. His company the way he has and get these guys trust and working with them, and he does a great job for what he does. The one thing is I never pictured him the way he sounds on the air, and to see him like when he did the Dark Side of the Ring Confidentials, I didn't expect to see what he looked like. For some reason, I thought he was gonna be like this more southern dude.
Was that the first time you saw him?
I think so. That or I'm friends with him on Facebook, but I don't really I don't creep on his page or anything. So I never really knew what he looked like.
Yeah, so there's episodes that you haven't seen. I don't think they're up right now, but in August, when the network is kind of fully loaded on there, they have something else to wrestle with where there's like 12 episodes that they do where you can watch them as you can see us now. And there's all different topics that are not in the actual podcast archive. Gotcha. So you should definitely check it out. There's some really good episodes on there, including an AJ Styles one.
Oh, okay. Definitely let's check it out.
But I will be interested by that one, John, because he's the first one, I think. I mean, I know that Bischoff has touched on it, but there was nobody closer to the early days of TNA than Jeff Jarrett.
Nope. And
for a lot of those big years as well. So I'm really going to be interested to hear some of the stories, things about the Main Event Mafia, early Joe, early AJ Styles. You know, the idea of what you saw when you brought these guys in there, what was the vision for them. I would be fascinated to listen to a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, he's one of the only guys to be in all three companies with a podcast, plus being owner of his own company, which with the GC, whatever the hell is Global Wrestling. Yep.
So that lasted for a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
there's him and Toby Keith. Wasn't Toby Keith, I think, a part owner of that for 3 months that it lasted?
Yeah, it went downhill pretty quick, especially when he joined forces with TNA Impact during their horrible reign.
Yeah, it was very weird. That was a very tough time. Although you still had good players then, though.
Yeah, you had good guys.
Drew was there. Alberto El Patron was there. Bobby Lashley was there. Samoa Joe was there. It's weird that they had a lot of talent on the roster then, but the booking was a mess.
The fact that, and I'll say with him, he was trying to build a company, but he didn't have the resources, and they were basically only doing like baseball stadiums, which it was nice. I think there was one like in North Jersey when it came once. So,
did you go?
I did not. I think it only drew like I think maybe 100 people, if that.
That's crazy, and he had some decent talent too.
Yeah,
like that's one that you could. At least go to like the 2,300 arena, like House of Hardcore, and pack a few hundred people in there. 500, 600 people in there.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So,
anyway, that's the card. I picked Bobby. Who'd you pick out of that?
Lashley's retaining. He's keeping the title to at least SummerSlam. Hopefully, that Brock matchup. If not, maybe they'll find someone else for him to drop the title. Eventually.
What was John's question there? I just happened to catch it. That whole time I didn't even look at it.
It was a hypothetical.
You two win $500 million collectively. You build a wrestling company first. Each you choose 4 agents. Can be already agents or someone brand new that you think would be awesome. So we got to pick 4 people to be the agents to book everything. Ooh, who's the lead agent down in NXT? I'll take them. Is that Road Dogg still? I don't think he's the lead agent, but
NXT.
HBK is an agent down there.
He's a trainer. I don't know if he's an agent.
Okay.
I think it's difficult, I'll say, because they all have their strengths. They all have their weaknesses. I feel Triple H is probably the guy. He's one that's been booking all. I think the one that books all the events and all that. Or the
if he was an option, I would bring him on. But I'm going to assume he's not. Right?
He's technically considered an executive producer of NXT and NXT UK. So I don't know if that's considered an agent or just the fact that he's an executive producer.
No. So I'm going to go with Road Dogg. I'm going to take Jason Jordan because it's a young guy with a fresh voice. I'm going to go with Jason Jordan. See, I don't like any of the AEW agents. They're all old, or they're the current wrestlers who are booking. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Producer's Regal.
Regal, I would take Regal. Yeah,
Regal's producer, talent scout, director of talent developing, and the head of global recruiting.
Regal would probably be my top producer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would go for a fourth.
And are we only talking about people that are current, or are we talking all the time? I would say
Well, he said you can take anybody. It could be someone who's there now. It could be somebody else.
Yeah, definitely Regal. I don't know. I probably would throw Bischoff and JR in there.
I'm good with JR. I'm good. I'd take either Bischoff or Paul Heyman.
Oh yeah, Heyman definitely. Yeah.
I mean, at least with Heyman, I know I'm going to get some eyes on my program. Maybe for good. You know,
I won't let him handle the money or the book, but he can book my card for me. He can set the storylines because he knows how to do that.
Listen, I mean, you're gonna get eyes on it. Sometimes it's not gonna be for the right reasons, but you're gonna get eyes on it if you got Heyman on your list.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That's what I'm gonna go with. You know, I'm gonna take Road. No, I'm gonna keep Road Dogg. That's what I'm going with. Regal, Heyman. Okay, I'm gonna go Bischoff and Road Dogg. Sorry, Jason Jordan, you got to earn your way back in.
Yeah, I'll say he before we annoy him, I do feel he's gonna have some good ideas and he's gonna be able to change the company a little bit with his.
I was just trying to have a little young blood in that room, Jeff. That's all.
But he hasn't earned his keep yet. He hasn't. He's been technically the lead producer of Raw and SmackDown for 2 weeks now. Let's slow the roll a little bit before we annoy him. A great promoter.
John says, I really like Lance Storm. I like him, but then I don't know. I have a love-hate thing for Lance Storm. I think he's a brilliant mind, but he comes off very old-fashioned to me a lot of times too.
He was very dull. At least for his in-ring career, he did nothing for me. I would say I just felt he
was great in ECW.
He was good in the ring. I'm not saying he didn't put on quality matches, but just his gimmick, his music, his look. It was very bland, except when they put that whole anti-US, I think it was him, Christian, Taz.
But see, that didn't work for me, though. It was when he was in ECW, that character to me worked.
Well, I didn't get to watch ECW a lot during that time. That was a little bit before my time, because by the time they almost folded, or I was only 7 or 8 years old, so I barely got to see WWE on programming on television with my cable company.
When you talk about him and Chris Candido together, the dynamic was really good, and you had the guy. Like he was kind of a dull, bland guy, but he was just like the guy who was very all about business, right? He was very matter of fact when he spoke to you, and it worked in ECW. You had all the characters who were drinking the beers and, stabbing people and diving off the top of the roof and all that crap, and he was different. He was a professional wrestler who came in and acted like a professional and gave you a professional ass beating, and it worked in ECW. It was very, very dull. The reality is, WCW, WWE, and even now, AEW, there has to be an element of sports entertainment. I think that's where he started to lack.
Yep.
He was definitely outshadowed by other huge personalities by then. But moving on, this is a fun topic. Blood and Guts. We previewed it last week, Jeff. How did Blood and Guts? What was your reactions? How were you feeling after Blood and Guts?
Look, I mean, I don't hate or love or I don't pick a side when it comes to the companies. I'm overall a huge AEW fan, and I just felt a little bit cheated a little bit, especially that ending. I'll say you had a great event leading up to that main event. The main event was great. I'll say you had the big spots, you had big moments. The guys put their bodies on the line. I'll say you saw some great matches. They need to work with their camera crew a little bit. Some of the angles that it basically gave away what they do in that ring. That's the one thing AEW definitely needs to work with is their production aspect of their events. But for them to call the freaking match at the end because MJF is trying to throw Chris Jericho off the freaking the structure. The dude's a professional wrestler. You know how many times we've seen him get thrown off structures or jump off ladders or put his body on the line? Why the hell all of a sudden does it matter that he's getting thrown onto steel, which ended up looking like freaking plastic when he landed on it, for them to call the match? I want some type of decent ending to that match. I want something to show that there's definitely a victor, not a cop-out for MJF and his team to come up victorious because the Inner Circle decided to give up because they didn't want Chris Jericho to be sacrificed, which he ended up getting thrown off anyway. So it's not like it freaking mattered to begin with. I just felt that ending somewhat cheated and dubbed down that great pay-per-view, because like we brought up before with other events, people always will remember the ending, and that's the one thing we remember from this pay-per-view. We're not going to remember some of the 5-star matches and the quality matches we saw in this pay-per-view. We're going to see the ending of MJF threatening to throw off and the Inner Circle giving up, and he had end up getting thrown off onto whatever freaking cardboard structure that fucking was.
So there were elements of this match, right? So I'll go through, and I know I've sent it to you, but I'm gonna kind of go through my news and notes or my breakdown of how I saw the match.
Mm-hmm.
The guys worked their asses off.
Definitely.
I cannot take it away from them. Phenomenal workers. Sammy Guevara, absolute MVP in this matchup. FTR, they look like guys who could have been fit right in, and you never skipped a beat. Put them in. You could have put them in the first match in the 80s, in the early 80s. And you know what? Any era of this match, you put those guys in there, and they just fit. They were made for this kind of a match. It was phenomenal to see the work that they did. I still call them Dash and Dawson. So I don't even know what is it? Cash and Wilder?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. Whatever. Wheeler, Cash Wheeler, right? Oh, that's one name, right?
Yeah,
Cash Wheeler and what's the other? I don't even know their names. It's terrible. I hate it. Anyway. Which is, by the way, is that not the WWE thing to do? Is basically literally just match their names. Anyway, super impressed with all their work. Even the big guys. Watching Sammy Hagar, the Spanish Fly with Shawn Spears was awesome.
Yeah,
Off from like the 2 ropes in the middle, that was a freaking awesome move. I do feel like he kind of got lost in the match aside from that big spot, though. And the part where Jericho, I think, had his head through the cage.
Mm-hmm.
I think he kind of got lost. And that's kind of concerning because for a guy who I think needs to be highlighted.
I agree with you. I feel, but Jericho's that type of worker where he feels he doesn't need to be highlighted, especially when you have 10, 12 guys in this match. I feel he felt that, yeah, he's one of the bigger profile stars, but he still wants the other guys to get noticed and the other guys to still get their spots in. So I kind of feel either it's just the way bad angle that, or the bad booking or the bad angle that they did. But I feel Jericho's one of those guys where he's not selfish to take the spotlight.
Yeah, I mean, all the workers, I can't say enough about the guys that worked. A lot of my issues, if not all of them, are production issues. There was a couple of a couple little sloppy spots and points. That happens. It's not a big deal. It's kind of a train wreck when you watch a match like this. That's like picking apart people who, have a missed spot in the Royal Rumble. Okay, you're gonna have those things when you have that much going on in a small confined space. You all right there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry.
So it was like, look, your eyes got big like it was breaking news or something.
No. The Eagles scheduled, even though it was before 8 o'clock, they officially announced it on their Twitter page. So I was seeing if the reports and the rumors from earlier today were true, which they were. So
yeah. Super impressed with JR, by the way, that he did not call it War Games one time. Waiting for it to be called War Games or Fall Brawl from Tony Schiavone. Did not get either of those. Super, super impressed with that. However, I don't know about you, I find it distracting and annoying that they kept calling the original matches Blood and Guts matches. We understand it's the same type of match, but you gave it a new name. I don't recall WCW going back and saying, hey, watch our Blood and Guts match. No, it's War Games match. Let's not keep going back. Let's say this, the first time we saw this type of match. Just say that. But when you keep calling it a Blood and Guts match, I found it very annoying. Social media apparently did too. And thank God a lot of things I found annoying were kind of across the board.
Yeah.
Production terrible. We saw a lot of spots get called, including at the top of the cage before Jericho gets thrown off when he's on his hands and knees. You see him call the spot.
Yep.
And it's like, come on, man. They're like the anti-WWE, and both are wrong. In terms of WWE has too many cuts. There's way too many. It's like, here, every time you move one limb and another limb, they're cut.
Get a headache from watching it. Yeah.
You can. Yeah, and I honestly, I never noticed it until somebody told me about it. But that being said, right, AEW is the opposite. They have a couple of set camera angles, and it's like they're terribly positioned for everything that's going on. You had plenty of time to plan that big spot out. Mm-hmm. Plenty of time. And no, you know what they used? They used a crash pad.
Yeah.
And they put cardboard spray painted to look like metal.
Yep.
You could see the brown cardboard under it when he's laying in it.
Yep.
And I don't want to take away because it's still, listen.
It was a cool spot, but
those crash pads are we heard people say falling into that is like falling into a feather. Like, honestly, and that's fine. It still makes it a cool spot. But you take the visual away from it when you show him land on a cardboard on top of a crash pad.
Yep.
I would have rather just not seen the landing.
Yeah.
Not seen the landing at all. Would have been like $1 million then. And I think that took away from it. And honestly, the biggest, it's not even the ending, the biggest pet peeve for me, there's no way that should have been a televised match unless you are going commercial free. Because no matter how hyped I got into the match,
commercials killed it.
Commercials killed it. Halfway through the match, I started playing on my cell phone. I got tired of it. Hell, my dad was watching the match for a little bit. And then by the third commercial break, he was done. It's too much. And I hope that they learned their lesson that this has to be a pay-per-view match going forward. Frank Vespi agrees with us. So I want to hear some of your criticisms too, guys, on this. Matt McCarrick, Chrome, you know what company does long-term storytelling, do you? He does this thing I hate AEW. Jeff, do I not talk good about AEW all the time?
There's a moment. I'll say you're not the Nemeth of hating AEW.
No, what I hate, I call it as it is. I talk. How much do I shit on WWE?
You do
all the time.
You do,
and that's the thing. He thinks that I don't, but I don't agree that we're gonna. I'm gonna. When people are gonna be one way or the other, I'm gonna take the other side just to be that guy.
Yeah.
Because that's how ridiculous it is. I agree with you. I don't like to. I like both. I like Impact. I like them all very, very similar.
Yeah, they all have their positives. They all have their negatives. So
sorry, thank you. Got a cupcake here from my sister. Nice.
Oh, there you go.
Nice. I'm gonna eat it after we're done. But that's my thing, Jeff. There's this whole idea of I just talk good. I always have to pick up for WWE. Mm-hmm. I do that when the people who dump on WWE all the time and everything AEW is the greatest thing ever. Yep. And they'll say, no, I'm negative. I talk about JR and how bad he is. Okay, well that's the obvious. Let's talk about how badly booked Sean Spears has been since he's been there, and Miro has been since he's been there, and basically every WWE talent not named Jon Moxley has been since they've been there when they were supposed to be the company of opportunity. Let's talk about how they were supposed to be the company who was supposed to be the alternative, that everybody was included and welcomed, right? Now, do we see Nyla Rose? Yeah, but what is she doing that's meaningful? Nothing since that title run. Sunny Kiss. Okay, Sunny Kiss was supposed to be a prominent character, a prominently featured talent to show the mission that they have to change the game. And then Sunny Kiss ended up looking like a hooker picking up Joey Janela.
Yep.
And now you're just a talent sitting at ringside. Like, that stuff needs to be called out, right? Like, if I tell you I'm going to give you something here on Lazy Booking, right, Jeff? We promise the people we're going to be about something, and then we take it a totally different way. I should be called out on that. Doesn't mean you don't like me. Doesn't mean you don't want me to succeed. I'm okay with you calling me out on my shit. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah, because I'm not going to lie. Look, like I said, I like both companies. I try to like all wrestling, try to give every company a shot and an opportunity for me to watch the program. But there's been times at AEW, especially over the last few months, there'll be stuff that everyone's like, oh, that was a tremendous episode. And I'll just sit back and like, were we watching the same program? Because there was plenty of moments and plenty of spots and plenty of things that I can critique and try to nitpick about, or the same stuff that people will nitpick about WWE about, but praise AEW because they're fanboys of AEW. So,
and that's what it's become, is there's a lot of fanboyness out there, right? And I'm the other thing, and I know I said this to you guys in the chat, you know, the negativity around the industry is what makes it so, it makes it hard sometimes, honestly, to be a fan. And, you know, it's not right to take that out on the talent, but I agree with what John Huber's wife said. Yeah. Brody Lee, right? Yep. She herself said after he passed away, there was never a negative feeling towards WWE and what happened. Nope. And a lot of the people not named Chelsea Green will say the same thing, like, for the most part, right? Yeah. Why can't you just be a fan of wrestling? Why does it have to be your one or the other? Why does it have to be that way? It doesn't. It doesn't have to be that way. And that's where people are just ridiculous. Like, listen, different strokes for different folks. Some people like cartoonish characters like The Fiend. You know? Some people are comic book nerds and love the Joker and like the idea of The Fiend and Alexa Bliss being like the Joker and Harley Quinn of wrestling. What's wrong with that? You don't have to be a fan of it. No.
You're not going to be a fan of absolutely everything that's put out on product. And you have a right to be critical as a fan, but just I hate the fans, like you brought before, the fans that their opinion's right, your opinion's wrong just because you disagree with them. And that's not what it's about. I know we have there's a few groups out there, and I don't feel we see much of it in ours, but there's a lot of groups out there. If you don't agree that AEW is the best, you're basically a moron, and you're a WWE mark or this and that, just because you have a few critiques or a few instances where you don't like the booking or like the programming of AEW. Don't get me wrong, AEW, they started off strong, but it was always that thing where, yeah, it was a new company. It was a new fresh company that a lot of people were going to try to build on and try to see what they were going to do. And that was the thing. How long were they going to? How was this going to progress? And how are you going to see them build this company for the future? And can they continue the longevity that WWE does? And for the most part, AEW has done a tremendous job, but I just feel some of their product is even getting a little stale. And I agree there's some things that you go or that they do, or they bring in Sting. Everyone's like, oh, why they bring in an aging veteran? And honestly, Sting's role so far, I haven't had a problem with it. It's not like he's wrestling every single week or taking the spotlight or whatever. He draws the casual fan that know who Sting is, and he's been mentoring Darby Allin. So I didn't see the big deal of what he's doing right now, but I don't know. I just feel people, like I said, sit back, relax, just try to enjoy the show. You can be critical of certain things, but just don't go overboard. Don't get in the freaking Twitter and Facebook wars over something silly as wrestling.
Well, so we'll tie a bow on this because we were going to talk about this point anyway, right? So a couple of weeks ago, we saw the Eva Marie vignette, right? That she's coming back, which, by the way, my biggest beef with that is the fact that she's standing in high heels on the hood of a Ferrari. What is wrong with you, woman? Anyway, You talk about like people blowing up and going way overboard, right? I will say this now, and I will say this until the day I die. Who am I to say who deserves a chance at any? At what have I done in that industry to have an opinion?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the real talk. Okay, who am I to say who deserves a second chance and who doesn't? I don't have that opinion. That's not my right to say.
Nope.
Okay, people who sit there and talk about who deserves what and doesn't deserve what, they're all what do they call them? Armchair coaches or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like you sit home on a Sunday and you're sitting there calling all the plays. Monday morning quarterbacks. There we go. They're all Monday morning quarterbacks, all armchair coaches who sit back. That's my dad next to me. Who sit back and think that their play calls are everything, or that they have the absolute opinion on everything. They have an insight on who you sit back and you watch them on your TV and you eat your popcorn or you eat your chips, and that's what you do while they go out and they put their asses on the line. Okay? Yep. Guess what? WWE got exactly what they wanted. Good, bad, or indifferent. A massive reaction from social media over Eva Marie, which proves them right why you go and you bring a person in like that. And if she did go in and put the work in, who are we to know? Because, I mean, this is why I was so shocked by this, Jeff. People were like, oh, my God, I'm so surprised. How are you surprised? And it's all the nerds who are commenting on it are the ones who read the dirt sheets, right? It's not like the casual fans, because the casual fans like, oh, okay, they're bringing this girl in, whatever. It's the nerds who do all that, who act like it's like some shocker. No, we heard about this 8 months ago that she was coming back and that she was at the Performance Center or somewhere putting in work and training. So who am I to say she didn't come back? I thought she got a little bit decent the end of her last run.
She did.
She was way better than she was the first couple of years, where she was definitely there to be eye candy, right?
Yep.
But I don't know the work she put in. Who am I to say she doesn't deserve a chance at it? We're nobodies, man. We don't have a real opinion. I mean, we could sit there and say, okay, I wasn't a fan before, this and that. Let's see what she has. Let's see what she brings to the table.
I don't mind them bringing her back. It's just an odd timing for them to bring her back. Also, bringing back Jinder Mahal back after they just released a bunch of talent a few weeks ago. So I'm not against them bringing Eva Marie back, and I'll say more power to her. I'm interested to see how she does in this run, and then I agree with you. I felt that towards the end of her run, she picked up some steam and somewhat proved herself that she can be more than just eye candy or someone that takes small bumps here and there, that she can actually be a performer and compete with some of the bigger names in the women's division. So I'm interested to see after the work that she put in, how she comes back even stronger from then. It's just, granted, we don't know the salary. It's probably not as much as some of the character or some of the talent we're making that were recently released. But when you're talking about a company and you were just...
She was already signed, though, I believe, Jeff.
Was she? She might have been signed as developmental talent, but okay.
Well, that would still be under contract.
Yeah. Okay. I can't remember exactly when she was signed, but even so, I don't know. But it's because it's not like it's a big name. It's another. It's not like Eva Marie and Jinder Mahal are going to put you over the needle or put you over the hump as far as ratings and drawing in eyes and drawing people in.
Jinder Mahal, no.
I agree with you the reaction part, but it's not like maybe the first couple weeks, but after this is blown over, it's not like it's The Rock coming back or Lesnar coming back or Becky coming back or Ronda. So that's the only thing I was a little bit not skeptical, but a little bit hesitant and a little bit confused about after you just had talent release and you bring back both of them. But because she was under contract, okay, but they still brought Jinder back. Jinder, I don't think was under contract until recently. So
he was on the shelf.
No, I thought he got released.
No, I think he was on the shelf.
Okay, I could be wrong. For some reason, I thought he was released.
So
a while back.
We're gonna go back a couple episodes, Jeff, of lazy booking, right? When we went through all the release talent. I have to say this. I didn't say it then. I'm going to say it now. Okay. I'm a big fan of the Iconics and some of the other talent. Mickey James, I'm taking out of this equation.
Yeah.
Samoa Joe, I'm taking out of the equation because they're A, the obvious. B, I don't know what Joe's health status is.
Yeah.
That being said, this is the second year in a row. All the talent pretty much that's released is talent that nobody gave a shit about until they got released.
I agree.
Minus the Peyton Royce promo she put on 2 weeks ago or whatever it was. All of a sudden, everybody's a big fan. And, like, it's convenient to me. Now that again is an agenda, right? Like, oh, okay, they've opened themselves up to be and listen, they definitely did. The timing was terrible on those things. That being said, though, you give an opportunity for somebody to kick you, they're going to take that shot. And that's exactly what it is, right? It's all those fanboys and all those people who are looking for an opportunity to dump on WWE, right? Now, again, I like the talent. I think Peyton and Jesus, I can't remember her name already. I forgot already.
I know what you're talking about. The other Iconic.
Yeah. Jesus, God. Oh, my God. Billy Kay. There we go.
That's it.
I like Peyton and Billy a lot. I think that they maybe are people you could have kept around. But that being said, also at the same time, it shouldn't keep you from bringing anybody else in. Okay? There was nothing. It just wasn't working at some point. Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green is so angry. Chelsea Green was there for 2 years and hurt for a year and a half of it. And she can't get over it. That's on you. You got to stay healthy at some point. Guess what? Major League Baseball, if you're a pitcher and you can't be healthy for 3 years, guess what? You're gone. You don't have a job.
Yep.
You're a position player and you can't stay on the field. Roman Quinn, the Phillies are the only ones that keep those guys around. Like, let's be real. Like, that's the reality of it. You have to be able to be healthy and be able to do your job well. And if you can't,
you're gone.
See ya.
Yeah, you're gone.
That's the reality. It shouldn't stop them. If Ginger wasn't under contract, okay, which I'm pretty sure he was. He had a major injury.
Okay.
But even if he wasn't, if you got a spot for him and you still think he can affect your company, bring him in. I don't care if you release 20 people. Vice versa. At some point, that shouldn't keep you from bringing fresh faces in. And even though we've seen her before and him before, they're still fresh faces. They haven't been in the mix in years.
Yeah, I'm not saying you can't bring in fresh faces, but just the fact that they were talking and just saying, oh, their numbers were down, or it was some of the decisions were financial reasons, and then to bring them on depending what their contracts were. But
Chelsea Green, when you're paid for a year and a half and you don't come there, guess what?
She deserves to get canned. I'm not talking about the Chelsea Greens of the world. I'm talking, like you said, the Iconics, even Mickey and Samoa Joe. I'm sure they could have found something, but
taking those two out, right?
Yeah, taking
the rest of them. At what point? And listen, I know booking is not great, right? But also at what point? Because how many people we've seen book terrible, but some people just have it and find a way to get themselves over. At what point do we put some accountability on the talent for not figuring out a way to get themselves over?
You didn't put
everything is always it's always the creative team. And listen, I'm not saying they do them any favors by any means, but why is there never any accountability towards the actual talent? Nowadays, in this day and age, when everybody's smart to everything going on, it's always everything else but the talent. And again, all that talent released last year in AEW, what are they doing? I mean, FTR is prominently featured. John Moxley, who wasn't a release, but and honestly, FTR wasn't even released. Their contract expired, basically. They were released a week before their contract.
Yep.
As a favor. So, all this talent, right? Miro, I love him. You know I love Miro. That's my guy. But all these guys, what? What, Jeff? What have they done in a year?
Nothing.
They again, are we going to go now and talk about the creative at AEW? What are they doing? So if they release any of this talent now, are they going to be held accountable for that?
Wrestlers should. Say ultimately, I'm
talking about creative.
People
going to say AEW's creative sucks. They couldn't find a spot for Miro.
The one thing I'll say that someone did bring up in the comments section, the one negative thing about AEW is they do have way too many stables and too many people thrown in the groups and random tag teams to try to get all these guys on talent, which is why AEW needs to find a way, or sooner rather than later, they get a second show, because they keep on bringing all this talent in and not enough spot and not enough TV time.
So they're putting them all in stables to give them TV time. That's exactly what they're doing.
Exactly.
And it's to the point where MJF made the joke himself before he joined the Inner Circle, right? Was the whole, everybody else has a stable around here. It's like the thing to do. So I guess I have to find one. Like, right? Like, it's so they're very aware. They're very aware of it, obviously.
Yeah.
But this is John Castigliano. Chelsea Green is the ugliest pretty girl. That's so funny.
Not wrong.
I agree with you, right? Like, I love I love stables, but done properly, not just putting people together, right? Yeah. WWE doesn't believe in stables. So I wish that they could find a way to find a middle ground where, like, WWE could have some, AEW has theirs, and that's, like, you know what I mean? And maybe have 3 or 4 stables each company and just kind of let them kind of roll with that. And then, but
especially at least in the women's division, they don't have a lot of tag teams, and they have the tag team titles. And if they want to get some of the unused women talent involved, maybe put them into a tag team or into a stable or something along those lines. That way, you can somewhat get them featured and more out there to the crowd.
So we got about 8 minutes left ish. Before we head off, maybe we won't take the whole 8 minutes, but
whatever you want.
Episode 1 of season 3, Dark Side of the Ring, the Brian Pillman 2-part episode. Want to get your reaction to it. I was a big fan of this. Again, another home run, and it's amazing. There are things where, as many times as we hear the stories, and there are things that we've heard a lot of the stories on some of these things, minus the Dino Bravo one, which I think I just did so much research on it over the years that I knew almost everything that was in there. Was really no surprises.
Yeah,
but aside from that episode, I mean, even the Montreal Screwjob, there's always something I take away from it. But I want to get your reactions to the Brian Pillman episode of Dark Side of the Ring.
I agree with you. I felt it was well done. I've portrayed a side of Pillman that we somewhat knew about, but just to hear from his family and some of the people that he hurt over the years because of his career, and just to see his son get involved and not have that great relationship with his father, but still found a way to find the love of wrestling to remember his father. I forget the exact scene or what exactly was said. Oh, it was Stone Cold. The fact that Stone Cold called him up and told him, "Hey, I have your dad's weight bench or weight belt or whatever the hell." The weight belt. And he's like, "Hey, I feel you should have this." And he felt that was a sign, like, "Hey, I need to figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life, and I want to go out there and be like my father and be a professional wrestler." And I felt like hearing those type of stories and hearing those type of moments were kind of cool. The one thing I definitely got from that program is his ex-wife. She was a freaking gold digger, and she's a freaking lunatic. The fact, hear the story that during the whole custody battle, the fact that she said that to his ex, the mother of one of his children. And for that reaction, for what ended up being the backlash from that, possibly from her saying that by his, if you didn't see the episode, I apologize for spoiler. His ex killed herself because of his widow making a comment saying you're a horrible mother and that you're never going to see your children again. That's fucked up. And then when Pillman died, to have or allow cameras. Give someone permission to videotape the funeral, and they had to have his sister tell the camera crew to leave, even though his widow and his wife technically has control to make that decision. I'm saying, who wants to have a video camera of their husband's funeral to allow that type of decision? I don't know if she was getting paid for it or what the hell the reason behind it was. I don't know what type of logical woman would make that type of decision after losing their father and her children and stepchildren losing their father to come up with a step. I don't know. Mentally, I don't feel she was there. She looked like a crackhead, to be honest. So, and just the fact that at the end, she's like, well, I'm hoping my children would forgive me or forgive me in the long run, which I feel they shouldn't. But I kudos to Pillman Jr. Look, hey, things happen in life. She's still my mother. I still love her, despite what she did to my father and what happened and all that type of stuff. And I still want to have some type of relationship for him. It just showed the maturity and the fact that he had a rough life with his mother and losing his father, and he's still trying to find the good in things. He's still trying to emulate and try to remember his father in the positive manner and not in the way he died or the bad things that happened in his life.
Yeah, I mean, Pillman Jr., I was really impressed with him. I didn't really know about how he wasn't like really athletic and all that, and kind of how he fell into it. And he's a very great prospect. I mean, he's super talented. You know, when he wore his dad's trunks last week as like an homage to him, dude, I mean, it was like, for me, I watched Flying Brian Pillman. I remember when he was a young chipper, and it was like stepping back into a time machine watching him on television. You know, it was pretty phenomenal to watch. And by the way, there's no spoilers with this because these are stories that have basically been out there for the most part. They're just diving into some details, and it's been a week, so you're good. You know, there's no. It's a known fact that his ex-wife committed suicide, so that is what it is. That was awful, by the way. Also, agree with you on Melanie, his wife. What a train wreck! And when you listen, kids, or people out there with kids, if there ain't a poster child for why drugs are bad, she's what it looks like, the after effects. She was a beautiful woman back in the day. Yeah. When they showed her, I was like, whoa, I haven't seen her in years. I was like, oh man, that's the same person. And then as you went along, you started hearing about what she did. You know, she blew through a lot of his money. The kids never got any of it. Yep. After the fact is atrocious. And I felt really bad for him, man, to be honest. You know, he lived a reckless lifestyle, but, you know, I almost felt bad for him, you know, having the facial reconstructive surgery. And you know what my takeaway was from this? You know, he kept going and kept going despite when he really probably should have taken the time out and let himself properly heal. Yep. And you hear about the commentary, how, you know, JR tried to push him towards the commentary thing. You know, I think that Brian Pillman lived a life with a chip on his shoulder forever. He was an undersized guy, so a guy who always had to prove himself. The end of the day, when you look at his career and you see he lost football due to an injury, I think in his head he was saying, I'm not letting this take wrestling from me either. Yep. If I have to kill myself to do it, and literally he basically did, I am going to go out there and I am going to perform. And it's almost beautiful. It's almost like a tragically beautiful moment, or like beautifully tragic, or whatever they say, because the passion and what these guys put into it is just wild. But that being said, you know, ultimately that led him down a path that led to his demise. Don't put that on yet, please. So it was just very, very, very sad to see how that worked out. Yeah. But you know, it was a really fascinating episode to see how the brain of the loose cannon kind of worked. You know, we've heard about it, but even to hear more and more details of it, it was just something really big. And I'm a big Brian Pillman fan, so I was very, very happy with how the episode turned out. And in terms of the interview she did after he died, I don't believe for 1 second she did not know that Vince was going to ask her about drugs. Yeah, you mentioned it. She's a gold digger. She said, oh, I told Vince it's the only thing. And listen, I know Vince has done some shitty things over the years, and we have acknowledged it. But I don't buy for 1 second seeing that woman that she didn't know. And I would bet that she took a payoff to do that as well.
Oh, I'm sure she did.
But anyway, this was a fun show. Lots to talk about. We got a lot in a short period of time. So, Jeff, I appreciate you hopping on again. We got some exciting stuff coming up, guys. I'm happy to announce June 18th, next month, on a special Friday night edition of Lazy Booking, we have lined up an interview with the franchise, Shane Douglas, or if you want to go back to the new generation, Dean Douglas. former ECW champion, former NWA champion, the man who basically established Eastern Championship Wrestling, being thrown out the door of the NWA Championship and establishing the ECW Championship. We're going to be happy to have him on at least an hour. He's a great interview. I talked to him. We may have him for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Anyway, he's going to be on with us. Really excited about that. So make sure you guys mark your calendars. Make sure you guys remember that 6/18. We're going to be having on the franchise Shane Douglas at 6 p.m. that evening. Thank you to our sponsors, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, Burlington, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Find him on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. The Counseling Center in Sunrise Detox, guys. If you need help, somebody you know needs help, make sure you guys go out there, dial that number on the screen, 856-651-8117. See what options are out there for yourselves and get yourselves and your friends and your family taken care of. They are wonderful, wonderful counseling center in Sunrise Detox. Obviously, Alan, what's his name? I don't even know. I haven't been on that much, guys, so I'm a little bit out of practice and all this.
I don't get the notes, so I'm sorry, I don't know.
Oh, you're good. No, you're good. Alan Foy, EXP Realty LLC. You guys are looking to buy or sell your home. You want to make sure you are hitting up Alan 302-682-8820, or you can find him at alan.foy@exprealty.com. And obviously, Body Check Wellness. So you want to go check them out, bodycheckwellness.com. Promo code A2D is going to get you 20% off. And anytime Riley Cote, former Philadelphia Flyer, joins Hockey Happy Hour, you're going to get 40% off a special package they run there. So make sure you guys are checking them out, bodycheckwellness.com. For myself, for Jeff, for Frank Vespi in the back end, the ones and twos. Make sure you guys are staying tuned. A2D Wednesday night is going to be coming at you at around 8:30-ish. So make sure you check all those guys out. You'll find myself and Jeff on Birds of a Feather tomorrow night, every Thursday night. And I think we'll probably be back to Tuesday nights coming up soon, Jeff, for this. So for myself, for Jeff, for Frank Vespi, Tom Marnone, everybody here at A2D Radio, we love you guys. Be careful. Take care of yourselves. Be good. Peace out.